Hi, welcome to our YouTube channel. I initially thought I would make this video a year from now after we had accomplished more projects around our property. But fall is setting in here and I've been reflecting a lot about the past year and everything that we've been able to accomplish. And I figured why not do the first video now so that you guys can hear about everything that we've done and see where things are at to this point. And then you'll be along with us for the journey in 2023 and beyond. So you'll have a good before and after as everything evolves. So I'll introduce myself and my fiance, and then I'll take you on a tour around the property and just show you where we're at, what we've done, and where we're headed. My name is Angela Sang, and I'm originally from Tucson, Arizona. I completed my undergraduate studies in Ayurveda and organic agriculture, and then I went on to do a master's program in complementary and alternative medicine with an emphasis in herbal medicine. And my fiance's name is Alvaro Monasterio. He is originally from Madrid, Spain. He works as a software developer within the alternative medicine realm. He came to the US in 2012. He came to study at a university in Fairfield, Iowa, which is also where I did my undergraduate studies, and that's where we're living now. But we've lived in Arizona, we've lived in Iowa City, and just at the end of last year we bought a home here in Fairfield, Iowa, and we are currently living in an Ecovillage. It's called the Abundance Ecovillage. We are essentially just working on a lot of projects to become more self-sufficient with our food supply and our supply of natural medicines, culinary herbs, all of it. So hopefully we'll have some things that help others as they're on their own journeys in this kind of alternative lifestyle. It really is a very empowering thing to feel like you're more in charge of things with food and with water, especially during these times. The past couple of years, I think everybody can agree that things have been pretty unstable in the world. And so to create your own sense of security with basic needs becomes very, very important. And that's what we're here doing. So, all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take you now on a little tour. I'll start and actually show you our house. This community is a hybrid off-grid community. There's about 13 homes, and they're all very unique. They're all very beautiful, very intentionally built. So I'll start off by just showing you our actual home inside, and then we'll go around back and I'll show you the projects we've been working on in our yard. And then from there we'll go and look at the community property and things we've been working on there, plans that we have for the future. So all right, let's go. So this home used to actually be a pretty well-known Airbnb here in Fairfield, and the home itself was designed actually by our neighbor's son. He was the architect for the home, and they had built it with the intention of it being sort of a family home for vacations, and then renting it as a Airbnb in the meantime. So it's been really kind of fun to hear different stories and the history of the house over time. But we have found it to be quite a wonderful home to live in. Starting here on the porch, this space has been such a lifesaver. We both work from home on the computer all day, so it's nice to be able to step outside and have a little lunch break out on the patio under the sunshine with the birds midday, kind of break away from the computer life. And once you enter the house, here on the right we have the living room. It's also turned into my office recently. Winter's coming and it gets super cold here, and the house runs a little bit on the cold side, as do I. So we put my desk here next to the fire, the wood burning stove, so I can stay nice and toasty while I'm working. The house does have a propane furnace, but it mainly runs on earth tubes. So we can maybe do a video on that. It's a whole system. We can do a video on all of our energy systems, but we're going to try and use the wood stove a little bit more heavily this year instead of the propane furnace to offset the earth tube temperature. Downstairs we have 2 bedrooms. One is an actual bedroom space, and the other is a meditation space. Meditation has been a huge pillar in our lives. You know, we lead pretty busy lives. There's also a lot of instability in the world in general over the past couple years, and so we've found over the years that meditation just really helps us stay balanced and helps us maintain perspective when things get stressful. And so it's been really, really nice to have a space that is purely dedicated to that. We'll probably maybe do a video on that in the future too, just talking about different aspects of meditation and wellness. And then here we have the kitchen. It has so much light, which is one of the things I love about this home. We do have such intense winters here, and being from Tucson, Arizona in the Sonoran Desert, I really appreciate any extra sunshine or light that we can get, especially in the middle of March when you've had months of cold, below 0 temperatures. I'll talk a little bit at the end about some of the energy systems, but the water for our drinking water, our shower, all of that is runs on a grade 1 water system, which is all rainwater. And then our grade 2 system for the toilets and our outdoor needs, that all comes from retention ponds that are located on the community property. And off to the side, you can see this nice view we have off to the side of our house with these horse pastures. Of course, everything's kind of dying back, but it's so beautiful in the middle of the summer when you have just all green pastures and the horses are roaming around. And this is where my office used to be actually, but we've turned it now into just sort of a yoga space / game space / reading area. So we'll see how the different rooms evolve over time, but that's where we're at right now. And then upstairs we also have same layout as downstairs, 2 bedrooms. One is Alvaro's office space and workout. We have some workout equipment in there. And the other one is another bedroom. And then towards the end of the hallway, we have a bathroom. We have one upstairs and one downstairs. It's a split bathroom, so on one side you have the toilet, and then on the other side you have the shower and sink and storage and whatnot. And so that's about it. I did want to touch on the energy real quick. I do think we can do a video on all of our systems, our earth tube systems, our water systems, our energy. But we are hooked up to an off-grid system as well as the grid. So we have solar power here, we have wind power, and we also, if we ever go over our solar and wind usage, we don't run out of power. We're then kicked to the grid. And we are also feeding back to the grid if we're ever making more energy than we're using as a community. So now let's head back outside and I'll give you a quick overview of our backyard. One project I've been working on is laying this mulch walkway from the front yard around to the back in our garden. Our neighbor, the previous owner, she did such a wonderful job getting all these plants in this yard. So we've taken the first year to really just learn the pre-existing landscape. And here on the left, we did a little seating area, but it really didn't get a lot of use this year. So one project for next year is to turn this space into an herb garden with a Hugelkultur herb spiral. If you aren't familiar with Hugelkultur, I'll explain more about that later. And over here we have a new raised bed, still filling that in, as you can see. We would have loved to build something from spare wood around the property, but we needed to get something put together quickly considering all the other projects that we have trying to finish before the winter. So that's where we'll grow all of our root crops next year. You know, Iowa has some of the thickest clay soils you'll ever see, so it's pretty difficult to grow them in the natural soils without amending them in some way. And this is our garden. The space here used to be much smaller and landscaped with grass, so Alvaro moved the exterior fence back to our property line, and we worked the soil a bit and added some compost. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do the first year considering the state of the soil, but seems to be doing pretty well. We got a lot of parsley. We had other crops that did well were cabbage. We had a ton of cabbage. We've harvested most of that already. And the tomatoes did really well too. Things are starting to die back, um, but we're in high harvest mode because, you know, nature just wants to put everything out before the winter. So trying to get everything harvested as things die back at the same time. And tomatoes definitely putting out a lot. Also, our peppers were kind of hit or miss. We had some peppers that did really well, like these Hungarian peppers, and also our shishito peppers that were down on the other side of the garden did really well, but not so much the bell peppers. We think there might have been some deficiency in the soil, so we're going to try those in a different growing bed next year. Here's some sweet potato. Try and harvest that before the winter and see if we were able to get any sweet potato in the soil up here. And that's it for now. I'm glad I got to show you guys this because we're going to have some big temperature drops coming up here, and things are really going to start dying back. This is our composter. It's a barrel compost, so you just flip a switch on the side and you can spin them around. It's the first time I've used a barrel composter. I've always used the bin method, but that's been working really, really well for us this year. And so for now, let's head on over to the community property and we'll take a look down there. Okay, so we're here now on a portion of the community land. One of my ex-agriculture professors used to actually live in this community, and I did some work out here during my studies at the university. But she's moved away from Iowa, and no one really stepped in to fill in her shoes. So our goal has been to re-enliven some of these areas that just need a little bit of love. There's also another person that moved here around the same time as us who has a background in permaculture and many other things. And she's working on some other projects in other areas of the community. But this is one area that used to be pretty active and has not been used in some time. So we're working on some things to re-enliven the space. We started last year by clearing out this large greenhouse. Initially, we thought we might plant in here and start a CSA for the community, but early in the year, we ran into some issues with the water supply. The greenhouse runs on our grade 2 water system, and it turned out that we had a leak in our grade 2 water, which was depleting our supply. So instead, we shifted gears and we reconnected some old totes here to the water catchment. And we also decided to build hugelkultur beds next to the greenhouse. It looks like kind of a mess on first sight, but I'll throw in some aerial shots here so you can see a little bit of the process early on before we got to the point we're at now. And I'll tell you a little bit more about hugelkultur if you're not familiar with it. It's essentially a horticulture method where you layer wood and branches and you pack it in with soil as you go, eventually creating a mound with soil over top. And over time, as you grow on the mounds, the organic matter inside breaks down, creating rich soils. This method also does not require as much water since the wood acts as a store of moisture. So the method is especially important for us here, considering the hardness of our thick clay Iowa soils. And it also helps us be more self-sufficient with water, which was the issue early on. The goal is to finish these beds before winter and see how it goes with them next year. If all goes well, then we'll probably build some of these up on our property, expanding the garden area that I showed you earlier. And we might also potentially expand down here as well if everything goes good. maybe grow some more for the Ecovillage. But this year we're mostly going to be growing primarily for ourselves and trying to can and create some other prepared goods, and then we'll share whatever's extra with the community. We also plan to fix up that broken shed you saw in the back, and we're going to try and fix up this space here, which used to be, I think, a pretty nice area for processing your harvests, a little bit of an outdoor kitchen here as well. So it just needs a little bit of love, another one of those areas of the community that needs a little fixing. So that's about it for now. I'll meet you up in our living room real quick to mention a couple of final things as we wrap up our first video. All right, so here we are back in our upstairs living room, and I just wanted to take a few minutes really quickly to give a little bit more information about our channel. Demeter Medicinals is an LLC that I started. I was towards the end of my master's program, and I had a vision to start growing herbs biodynamically and make preparations from them and sell those medicinal preparations. But life took a completely different direction, as it sometimes does, and that kind of went on the back burner for a while. So I already had the LLC in place. I have a website URL and some other things set up, including this YouTube channel. Also, if you're not familiar with the name or the term Demeter, it is actually the name of the Greek goddess who governs agriculture, but really anything to do with the fertility of the earth. And also, Demeter is associated with a certification that I went through during my undergraduate program that was a biodynamic certification. And so that's a little bit of the history behind the channel, where it came from, how it got started, and the content that we're going to be putting out. You'll probably see quite a range. We obviously are going to take you along for a lot of the projects that I talked about throughout the video. So you'll see some of that. But we'll also probably share some content on general wellness, and not just physical wellness, but also spiritual wellness and financial wellness. We feel like all of those three pillars are very, very important. So I'm sure we'll be putting out content with each of them. And eventually this channel might end up going full circle and going back to being the host channel for my Demeter Medicinals website once I get that whole vision up and going. But we'll see how it all evolves. It's all just kind of an experiment, and for now we just thought we should get started and see how it goes. So thanks again for joining us, and